What if every choice you made, every path you took, was nothing more than code in a complex simulation? Ever felt like your reality is just a perfectly crafted illusion, manipulated by unseen forces? Imagine waking up one day to discover that the world you've always known is merely a digital facade. David Grapeson was a man who seemed to have it all. At 35, he worked at an Audi car sales showroom in Nottingham, where he was well liked by his colleagues and customers alike. His charm and genuine nature made him a favorite among those who came to buy cars. David's life was a picture of contentment. He lived in a cozy house in a quiet part of Nottingham with his loving wife, Sarah, and their 2 children, 7-year-old Jack and 3-year-old Emily. Every morning, David would wake up to the sound of birds chirping outside his window. He would get ready for work, kiss Sarah and the kids goodbye, and drive to the showroom. His days were filled with the hum of engines, the smell of new leather, and the satisfaction of helping people find their perfect car. In the evenings, he would return home to the laughter and warmth of his family. Life was good, and David had no reason to believe it would be any different. But then, something strange began to happen. It started with a simple feeling of déjà vu. On a Monday morning, as David was showing a customer the latest Audi model, he felt a sudden, overwhelming sense that he had done this exact thing before. The customer's words, the way the sunlight streamed through the showroom windows, even the car's shiny red paint, it all felt eerily familiar. David brushed it off as a coincidence and continued with his day. The next day, the feeling returned. This time, it was during a meeting with his manager, Tom. As Tom discussed the sales targets for the month, David felt a strange sense of repetition. He could almost predict what Tom was going to say next. It was unsettling, but David tried to ignore it. After all, déjà vu was a common enough experience, wasn't it? By Wednesday, the déjà vu had become impossible to ignore. David was at home, playing with Jack and Emily in the backyard. As he watched Jack chase after a butterfly and Emily giggle at her brother's antics, the feeling washed over him again. He had seen this exact scene before, the butterfly, the children's laughter, the way the sunlight dappled the grass. It was as if he were living the same moment over and over. David's mind began to race. What was happening to him? Was he losing his grip on reality? He decided to confide in Sarah. That evening, after the kids were in bed, he sat down with her in the living room. "Sarah, have you ever had déjà vu?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Sarah looked at him with concern. "Of course, everyone has. Why do you ask?" David took a deep breath. "I've been having it a lot lately. 3 days in a row, actually. And it's not just a fleeting feeling. It's like I'm reliving the same moments over and over." Sarah reached out and took his hand. "Maybe you're just stressed. Work has been busy, and you've been juggling a lot. It could be your mind's way of coping." David nodded, though he wasn't entirely convinced. "Maybe you're right. I'll try to relax and not think about it too much." But as the days went on, the déjà vu persisted. It began to seep into every aspect of David's life. He would be driving to work and suddenly feel like he had taken the same route 1,000 times before. He would be having dinner with his family and feel like he had heard the same conversations over and over. It was as if his life were stuck on a loop, repeating the same scenes endlessly. David's unease grew. He started to question everything around him. Was his life real, or was it some kind of elaborate illusion? He began to notice other strange occurrences. Objects in the house seemed to move on their own. He would leave his keys on the kitchen counter, only to find them on the living room table moments later. The clock in the hallway would skip a few seconds, then resume ticking as if nothing had happened. One evening, as David was tucking Jack into bed, his son looked up at him with wide, innocent eyes. "Daddy, do you ever feel like we're in a dream?" David's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean, buddy?" Jack shrugged. Sometimes I feel like everything is just pretend. Like we're in a story. David forced a smile. That's just your imagination, Jack. Go to sleep now. But Jack's words lingered in David's mind. What if his son was right? What if they were all part of some grand simulation? The thought was both terrifying and strangely comforting. If his life was a simulation, then maybe there was a way to break free. Determined to find answers, David began to research the concept of simulated reality. He read articles, watched documentaries, and even joined online forums where people discussed their own experiences with déjà vu and other strange phenomena. The more he learned, the more convinced he became that his life was not what it seemed. One night, as David sat in front of his computer, he stumbled upon a theory that resonated with him. It suggested that déjà vu was a glitch in the simulation, a momentary overlap of different timelines. According to the theory, those who experienced frequent déjà vu were more likely to be aware of the simulation and, potentially, find a way to escape it. David's mind raced with possibilities. If he could find the source of the glitches, maybe he could uncover the truth about his reality. He began to pay closer attention to the moments of déjà vu, looking for patterns and clues. He kept a journal, meticulously recording each experience and any strange occurrences that accompanied it. David's mind raced with possibilities. If he could find the source of the glitches, maybe he could uncover the truth about his reality. He began to pay closer attention to the moments of déjà vu, looking for patterns and clues. He kept a journal, meticulously recording each experience and any strange occurrences that accompanied it. David hesitated, then decided to tell her the truth. I think we're living in a simulation, Sarah. The déjà vu, the strange occurrences, it's all connected. I need to find a way out. Sarah stared at him in disbelief. A simulation? David, that sounds crazy. You're scaring me. I know it sounds crazy, David said, his voice trembling. But I can't shake the feeling that something is very wrong. I need to find out the truth. Sarah shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. I don't know what to say. I just want my husband back. David reached out and took her hand. I promise, I'll figure this out. And when I do, everything will be okay. But deep down, David knew that nothing would ever be the same again. His quest for the truth had taken him down a path from which there was no turning back. As he continued to search for answers, he couldn't help but wonder if he would ever find a way out of the simulation, or if he was destined to live the same moments over and over, forever trapped in a loop of déjà vu. End of Part 1.